Welcome to the channel where we explore rare and valuable Washington quarter-dollar coins, discover hidden mint errors, rare dates, and coins that could be worth thousands of dollars. Check your pocket change, because your next quarter might be a treasure. Our first coin, the 1979 Washington quarter, with a large date and AD mint mark error. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary quarter, the same one millions of Americans used in everyday purchases. But hidden in the design and the minting process could be an unusual mistake that transforms this simple 25-cent coin into a collector's treasure, potentially worth up to $100,000 in the right auction environment. The Washington quarter itself has a long and respected history in American coinage. The design was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington. The portrait on the front was created by sculptor John Flanagan and has remained one of the most recognizable designs in U.S. coins for decades. The coin shows George Washington facing left on the obverse, while the reverse traditionally displays a powerful eagle with spread wings holding arrows and olive branches. Over the years, the composition changed, and after 1965, quarters were made using a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of silver. This change allowed the United States Mint to produce coins more efficiently while keeping them durable for circulation. CoinAuctionShelp.com +1. By 1979, the Washington quarter was already one of the most widely produced coins in America. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, each marked with a small D mint mark behind Washington's ponytail on the obverse side. In fact, nearly 490 million 1979 D quarters were produced, which is why most examples found in circulation are only worth their face value of 25 cents. Coino. However, coin collectors know that mintage numbers alone do not determine rarity. What truly makes a coin valuable is a combination of condition, rarity, and especially mint errors. A mint error happens when something goes wrong during the striking process. The dies might be damaged, the metal planchet might be defective, or the coin could be struck incorrectly in the press. These unexpected mistakes sometimes escape the mint and enter circulation, creating coins that collectors eagerly hunt for. The 1979 D Washington quarter has been known to show several interesting mint errors. Some examples display a filled or distorted mint mark, while others show doubling or striking abnormalities around the design. In some cases, the D mint mark may appear doubled or filled with metal due to a die flaw. These types of errors occur when grease, debris, or wear affects the die used to stamp the coin. When the die presses the design into the metal, the flaw transfers to the coin and creates a distinctive error that collectors can identify under magnification. Rarest.org +1. Most minor errors on a 1979 quarter might only increase the value slightly, sometimes to around $150 or $180, depending on the exact variety and condition. But occasionally, a much rarer combination of errors or an extremely unusual die variety can create a coin that collectors are willing to pay thousands for. When that coin is discovered in an attractive circulated condition with clear details, it becomes even more interesting because it shows that the coin actually circulated through everyday transactions before someone noticed the error. Rarest.org +1. Imagine someone receiving a quarter in their change at a grocery store in the early 1980s. The coin looks ordinary, maybe a few scratches from years of use. It passes from hand to hand for decades until a sharp-eyed collector spots something unusual about the date or the mint mark. Under magnification, the collector sees a strange distortion or doubling on the D mint mark. The date might appear slightly larger than normal, and the strike might show evidence of a rare die error. Once such a coin is identified, collectors often send it to professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. These organizations examine the coin carefully, confirm its authenticity, and assign it a grade based on its condition. Even circulated coins can receive respectable grades if the design details remain clear and the damage is minimal. Condition is extremely important in coin collecting. A heavily worn coin might only be worth face value, while a well-preserved example can sell for much more. For ordinary 1979 quarters, circulated coins typically sell for around 25 cents to less than $1. But coins with rare errors or exceptional preservation can reach hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Coino. Now imagine that our mysterious 1979 large date error quarter turns out to be a unique die variety with a dramatic mint error never widely documented before. When a coin like this appears in the marketplace, collectors become extremely excited. Auction houses promote the coin heavily, collectors compete for it, and the final price can skyrocket. In the world of numismatics, this happens more often than people think. A coin that sat unnoticed in circulation for decades can suddenly become a headline item when experts confirm its rarity. Bidders from around the world may participate in the auction, each hoping to add the rare piece to their collection. If such a rare 1979 Washington quarter with a dramatic mint mark error and strong visual appeal appeared in a major coin auction, it could theoretically attract bids reaching tens of thousands of dollars. In an extraordinary scenario, especially if the coin were the only known example of a particular die error, the value could approach or even exceed $100,000 among serious collectors seeking unique pieces. Next coin, the 1974 Washington quarter with a large date variety. A coin that might look completely normal at first, but in the right circumstances could reach an astonishing auction value of around $120,000. The Washington quarter has been a part of American history for many decades. The design first appeared in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Washington facing left, designed by the sculptor John Flanagan. Around the portrait, you can see the word Liberty at the top, the motto "I in God We Trust" near the lower left, and the date placed beneath Washington's profile. On the reverse side of the coin is the famous eagle design, with its wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches as symbols of strength and peace. This classic design remained in use for many decades and became one of the most recognizable coins in circulation. By the 1970s, the composition of the quarter had already changed from silver to a copper-nickel-clad metal. After 1965, the United States Mint stopped using silver in regular circulating quarters because the price of silver had increased dramatically. Instead, the Mint began producing quarters using a layered composition of copper and nickel that still looked similar to silver but was more practical for large-scale production. These clad coins were durable and were produced in massive numbers to keep up with the demand of everyday commerce. In 1974, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters. Because so many were made, most examples are extremely common today. Many people still find 1974 quarters in circulation or in old coin jars. Normally, these coins are worth only their face value unless they are in exceptional condition. However, collectors know that even common coins can become extremely valuable when a rare variety or unusual feature appears. The large date variety of the 1974 Washington quarter is one of those interesting features that can attract attention from collectors. A large date refers to the appearance of the numbers in the year on the coin. Sometimes small differences occur in the way the date is engraved on the die that strikes the coin. The numbers may appear slightly larger, thicker, or positioned differently compared to other coins of the same year. These differences are usually subtle, but experienced collectors can spot them when comparing coins side by side. Because minting dies are created by hand engraving and mechanical processes, small variations sometimes appear in the final design. If a particular die with a large date characteristic was used to strike only a limited number of coins, that variety can become scarce over time. Many of those coins would have circulated for years without anyone noticing the difference, slowly disappearing into everyday transactions. Now imagine finding one of these coins today. At first glance, the quarter might look worn from decades of circulation. The surface might have small scratches, tiny marks, and the dull appearance that comes from years of handling. In coin collecting, this type of condition is often described as circulated with fine details. Even though the coin shows signs of wear, the main design elements such as Washington's hair, the lettering, and the eagle on the reverse can still be clearly seen. For ordinary coins, scratches and circulation marks would usually lower the value. But when a coin has a rare variety, collectors are often willing to overlook some wear if the unique feature is still visible. In fact, many rare coins were discovered only after they had spent decades circulating in pockets, wallets, and cash registers. The real excitement begins when collectors start studying the coin more closely. Using a magnifying glass or a coin microscope, they carefully examine the date, the letters, and the details of the design. If the date appears larger than usual or shows a distinctive style compared with other quarters from the same year, the coin may belong to the large date variety that collectors search for. Once a potentially rare coin is identified, the next step is usually professional authentication. Serious collectors often send valuable coins to grading services where experts examine the coin carefully. These specialists verify that the coin is genuine, determine its condition, and identify any rare varieties or unusual characteristics. The coin is then sealed in a protective holder with a label that describes its grade and variety. When a coin receives certification from a respected grading service, its credibility in the marketplace increases significantly. Collectors feel more confident bidding on the coin because they know it has been professionally examined. This confidence can lead to strong competition when the coin appears in a major auction. In the auction world, rare coins can sometimes achieve astonishing prices. When collectors believe a coin is extremely rare or unique, they may compete aggressively to add it to their collections. Bidding can climb higher and higher as each collector tries to outbid the others. Sometimes a coin that started as a simple piece of pocket change ends up becoming the star of a major auction event. The idea of a 1974 Washington quarter reaching a value of $120,000 may sound unbelievable at first. After all, it is still just a quarter in everyday terms. But the world of numismatics is full of surprising stories where coins with unusual varieties or special characteristics achieved remarkable prices. When rarity, collector demand, and historical interest combine, even a circulated coin can attract incredible attention. Collectors are especially fascinated by coins that manage to survive decades of circulation before being recognized as valuable. These coins represent a journey through time. Each scratch or mark on the surface tells part of the story of where the coin has been and how many people handled it before someone finally realized its potential importance. Another reason collectors love coins like this is the thrill of discovery. Anyone can theoretically find a rare coin. You don't need to be a millionaire or own an expensive collection to start searching. Sometimes valuable coins are discovered in old coin jars, inherited collections, flea markets, or even in change received from a local store. The possibility that a rare coin could be hiding in plain sight keeps collectors motivated. Every time they examine a coin, there is a small chance they might discover something special. That excitement is one of the reasons coin collecting remains such a popular hobby around the world. If you happen to come across a 1974 Washington quarter, it may be worth taking a closer look before spending it. Examine the date carefully and compare it with images of other coins from the same year. Look for differences in the size or shape of the numbers. Even small variations could make the coin interesting to collectors. Next coin, the 1982 Washington quarter with a large date, an AD mint mark error. A coin that may look completely normal at first, but in rare cases could reach an astonishing value of around $130,000 in today's competitive auction market. The Washington quarter has a long history in American coinage. The design was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Washington created by sculptor John Flanagan. Around the portrait, you can see the word liberty across the top, the phrase "In God we trust" to the left of the neck, and the year of minting placed below Washington's profile. The reverse side traditionally displays a strong eagle with wings spread wide, holding arrows and olive branches that symbolize both strength and peace. This classic design remained on the coin for decades and became one of the most recognizable images in American currency. By the early 1980s, the quarter was already being produced using a copper and nickel-clad composition rather than silver. Since 1965, most circulating quarters were made with a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel, giving the coin its familiar silver-like appearance while keeping production costs lower. These coins were produced in enormous quantities because quarters were widely used in vending machines, parking meters, laundromats, and everyday cash transactions. In 1982, the United States Mint produced Washington quarters at multiple facilities, including the Denver Mint. Coins produced in Denver carry a small d mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, just behind Washington's ponytail. Millions upon millions of these quarters were struck and released into circulation, which is why the average 1982 quarter is usually worth only 25 cents today. But coin collectors know that even common coins can hide rare and valuable variations. The year 1982 is particularly interesting in the history of U.S. coinage because the mint was dealing with production challenges and changes in manufacturing methods. During this time, some coins were struck with unusual characteristics, including weak mint marks, missing mint marks, and other striking irregularities. These unexpected results occurred when the dies that stamped the coins experienced wear, damage, or contamination from grease and debris during the minting process. When a die develops a flaw, every coin struck with that die may carry the same unusual feature. Sometimes the mint mark may appear doubled, distorted, or partially filled with metal. In other cases, the mint mark might appear thicker or slightly shifted compared with normal coins. Collectors refer to these unusual features as mint errors or die varieties, and they can make a coin much more desirable. The large date variety is another detail that collectors carefully examine. On some coins, the numbers in the year appear slightly larger or thicker due to differences in the die used to create the coin. These variations may seem small, but experienced collectors often compare coins under magnification and notice subtle differences in the shape and spacing of the numbers. Imagine discovering a 1982 Washington quarter that shows both a large date and a strange D-mint mark error. At first, the coin might appear ordinary. It may show signs of circulation such as small scratches, worn edges, or light discoloration from decades of handling. In coin grading terms, this type of coin might be described as circulated in fine condition. Even though the coin has been used in everyday transactions for many years, the main design details like Washington's hair, the lettering, and the eagle on the reverse can still be clearly visible. Circulated coins usually carry lower values than uncirculated ones, but that rule changes when a rare error or unusual variety is involved. Collectors often care more about the rarity of the coin than its level of wear. If a coin is known to have a rare mint error that was produced in extremely limited numbers, collectors may compete fiercely to acquire it, even if the coin has small scratches or signs of use. The process of confirming such a rare coin usually begins with careful examination. A collector might use a magnifying glass, jeweler's loupe, or digital microscope to study the details of the date and mint mark. If the D-mint mark appears doubled, misshapen, or partially filled, the coin may be a candidate for a rare error variety. Once a potentially valuable coin is discovered, many collectors send it to professional grading companies such as PCGS or NGC. These organizations specialize in authenticating and grading coins. Experts examine the coin under controlled conditions, verify that it is genuine, and assign it a grade based on its level of wear and preservation. They also identify any known varieties or mint errors. After authentication, the coin is sealed in a protective holder known as a slab, which includes a label describing the coin's date, mint mark, grade, and variety. This certification is extremely important because it gives buyers confidence that the coin is legitimate. In the coin market, certified coins usually command much higher prices than raw, uncertified examples. When a rare coin enters a major auction, excitement can build quickly among collectors. Auction houses promote unusual coins heavily because they know that rarity attracts attention. Collectors from around the world may participate in the bidding process, either in person or online. Each bidder hopes to add a unique piece of history to their collection. If a 1982 Washington quarter with a large date and a dramatic D-mint mark error were confirmed as an extremely rare die variety, it could become the centerpiece of a high-profile auction. Collectors who specialize in Washington quarters or mint error coins might compete aggressively to own such a rare piece. As bidding continues, the price could climb far beyond what anyone would expect for a simple quarter. In extraordinary cases, a rare coin with strong collector demand can reach astonishing prices. The combination of rarity, historical interest, and certification can push the value higher and higher as collectors place competing bids. Under the right circumstances, a rare example like this could potentially reach an estimated auction value of around $130,000. Next, coin the 1972 Washington quarter with a large date variety. A coin that might appear completely normal at first glance, but under the right circumstances could reach an incredible value of around $110,000 in today's auction market. The story begins with the history of the Washington quarter itself. The design of the quarter dollar featuring George Washington first appeared in 1932. It was created to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The obverse side of the coin shows a portrait of Washington facing left. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable images in American currency. Above Washington's head, you can see the word liberty, while the phrase, "I in God we trust," appears beside the portrait. The date is placed below Washington's profile and indicates the year the coin was struck. The reverse side of the traditional Washington quarter features a powerful eagle with wings spread wide. The eagle holds a bundle of arrows symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, while olive branches represent peace. Around the design appear the words United States of America and quarter dollar. For decades, this design remained almost unchanged and became familiar to millions of Americans who use the coin every day. By the time 1972 arrived, the composition of the quarter had already changed from silver to a copper-nickel-clad structure. Prior to 1965, quarters were made from 90% silver, but rising silver prices forced the United States Mint to switch to a more affordable metal composition. The newer coins had a copper core with outer layers of nickel, giving them a silver-colored appearance, while keeping production costs under control. These clad quarters were produced in enormous numbers and circulated widely throughout the country. Because so many quarters were produced each year, most coins from the 1970s are extremely common today. Millions of them passed through cash registers, banks, and vending machines for decades. However, collectors know that sometimes small differences in the minting process can create rare varieties. These varieties may not be obvious at first glance, but experienced collectors learn how to identify them by carefully studying the details of the coin. One feature collectors often examine closely is the date on the coin. Sometimes the numbers in the date appear slightly different, depending on the die used during production. A large date variety means that the numbers in the year appear thicker, taller, or slightly larger than those on other coins from the same period. These differences might seem tiny, but they can be important clues that the coin was produced using a specific die. Minting dies are the metal tools used to stamp the design into blank coin planchets. Over time, dies wear down, are replaced, or sometimes are modified during production. Because of these changes, subtle variations can appear between coins struck at different times. When collectors discover that a certain die variety was used for only a limited number of coins, those coins can become desirable collectibles. Now imagine a 1972 Washington quarter that carries a distinctive large date appearance. At first, the coin might look like any other quarter that has been circulating for decades. The surface may show light scratches and small marks from everyday use. The edges may be slightly worn, and the shine may be gone due to years of handling. In coin collecting, this type of condition is often described as circulated with fine details. Even though the coin shows signs of wear, the important parts of the design are still visible. Washington's portrait can still be recognized clearly. The lettering around the coin remains readable, and the eagle on the reverse still displays its wings and feathers. Coins in this type of condition are very common in circulation, and most people would simply spend them without giving them a second thought. But collectors know that value is not determined only by condition. Rarity and unique characteristics play an even bigger role. If a coin displays a distinctive variety that is difficult to find, collectors may become very interested in it, even if the coin has circulated for years. When a collector believes they may have discovered a rare variety, the next step is usually careful examination. Using magnifying tools or specialized coin microscopes, collectors study the details of the date and the design elements. They compare the coin with known examples and photographs to determine whether it matches a recognized variety. If the coin appears unusual or rare, many collectors choose to send it to professional grading organizations for authentication. These organizations examine the coin under controlled conditions and verify that it is genuine. They also assign a grade that describes the coin's condition and preservation. Once the coin has been authenticated, it is placed in a sealed protective holder along with a label that identifies the coin and its grade. This certification gives buyers confidence because they know the coin has been inspected by professionals. Certified coins are much easier to sell and often achieve higher prices at auction. The auction environment is where rare coins can reach extraordinary values. When collectors compete for a rare piece, the bidding can quickly rise as each person attempts to secure the coin for their collection. Some collectors specialize in Washington quarters and search for unusual varieties that are rarely seen in the market. If a particularly rare 1972 large date Washington quarter were discovered and certified, it could attract significant attention among collectors. Auction houses might feature the coin in promotional materials, highlighting its unusual characteristics and rarity. As collectors learn about the coin, interest grows and bidding becomes more competitive. In rare cases, when collectors believe a coin represents an extremely scarce variety or an unusual discovery, the price can climb to astonishing levels. A coin that once circulated as ordinary pocket change could suddenly become a highly sought-after collectible. Under the right circumstances, and with strong demand among collectors, such a coin might reach a remarkable auction value approaching $110,000. Next coin, the 1978 Washington quarter with a large date and AD mint mark error. At first glance, this coin may look like any other quarter from the late 1970s, but under the right circumstances, it could reach an astonishing value of around $105,000 in today's auction market. To understand why this coin attracts so much attention, it helps to look at the history of the Washington quarter. The design of the Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The front of the coin features a detailed portrait of Washington facing left. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it quickly became one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Above the portrait, you can see the word liberty, while the phrase, "I in God we trust," appears beside Washington's neck. The year of the coin is displayed below the portrait and indicates when the coin was struck. On the reverse side of the traditional Washington quarter is a powerful eagle with its wings spread wide. The eagle holds arrows in its claws representing strength and readiness, while olive branches symbolize peace. Around the design are the words United States of America and quarter dollar. This classic design remained in circulation for many decades and became familiar to millions of people across the country. By 1978, the composition of the quarter had already changed from silver to a copper-nickel-clad metal. Prior to 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, but rising silver prices made that composition too expensive for everyday coin production. As a result, the United States Mint switched to a layered metal structure with a copper core and outer layers of nickel. These coins still had a bright silver appearance, but were much more practical for mass production. During the 1970s, the United States Mint produced enormous numbers of Washington quarters to meet the demand of everyday commerce. Quarters were widely used in stores, public transportation, parking meters, vending machines, and laundromats. Because so many were produced, most quarters from that era are still very common today. However, coin collectors know that even in years with massive production numbers, rare varieties and mint errors can still occur. Mint errors happen when something unusual goes wrong during the manufacturing process. Coins are produced using heavy metal dies that press the design into blank metal planchets. If the die becomes worn, damaged, or contaminated with debris, the coin struck by that die may show unusual characteristics. One interesting feature collectors sometimes notice is a difference in the appearance of the date. A large date variety refers to numbers in the year that appear slightly larger or thicker than normal. These differences may occur when a die with slightly altered engraving is used during production. To most people, the variation may seem extremely small, but experienced collectors can spot these differences when comparing coins carefully. Another feature that can make a coin valuable is a mint mark error. On coins produced in Denver, a small letter D appears on the obverse side behind Washington's ponytail. This mint mark identifies where the coin was produced. Occasionally, problems occur during the minting process that cause the mint mark to appear unusual. It may look doubled, distorted, partially filled with metal, or slightly shifted from its normal shape. When collectors discover a coin with a strange mint mark or a distinctive date variety, they begin studying it closely. If the coin shows a combination of unusual characteristics, such as a large date and a mint mark error, it may represent a rare die variety that was produced in limited numbers. Imagine discovering a 1978 Washington quarter like this in your pocket change. The coin may not look perfect. It might have small scratches from decades of circulation. The surface may appear slightly dull from years of use. The edges might show light wear, and the coin may no longer have its original mint shine. In coin collecting terms, this would be described as a circulated coin in fine condition. Normally, circulated coins are not worth very much because millions of them exist and they show signs of wear. But when a coin has a rare variety or unusual error, collectors may still consider it extremely valuable even if it has circulated. The important factor is whether the rare feature can still be clearly seen. Collectors often use magnifying glasses or digital microscopes to examine the details of a coin. They study the shape of the numbers in the date and the appearance of the mint mark. If the mint mark shows clear doubling, distortion, or unusual shape, it may indicate that the coin was struck using a damaged or altered die. Once a potentially rare coin is discovered, collectors usually seek professional verification. Many valuable coins are sent to grading companies where experts authenticate them and assign a grade. These professionals carefully examine the coin to confirm that it is genuine and to determine its condition. After authentication, the coin is placed in a sealed protective holder with a label that describes its details. This process is known as grading and certification. Certified coins are highly trusted in the coin market because collectors know they have been examined by professionals. When a rare coin becomes certified, it often attracts attention from collectors around the world. Auction houses may feature the coin in special events where collectors compete to purchase rare pieces. Bidding can become intense when collectors believe a coin is extremely rare or unique. If a 1978 Washington quarter with a large date and a dramatic D-mint mark error were confirmed as a rare variety, it could quickly become the center of attention at a coin auction. Collectors who specialize in Washington quarters or mint error coins would likely be very interested in acquiring it. As collectors begin placing bids, the price may climb higher and higher. Each bidder hopes to secure the coin for their collection, especially if it represents a variety that is rarely seen on the market. In some cases, rare coins can achieve astonishing prices because collectors recognize their historical importance and scarcity. In an extraordinary scenario, where the coin is confirmed as a rare die variety and collector demand is strong, the value could potentially reach around $105,000 in today's auction environment. While such high values are rare, the coin market has repeatedly shown that unusual varieties can surprise everyone with their final auction results. Stories like this are what make coin collecting such an exciting hobby. The possibility that a valuable coin might still be hiding in circulation keeps collectors searching through pocket change and coin rolls. Many important discoveries have been made by ordinary people who simply decided to take a closer look at the coins they received.